Mahomes has not been razor sharp this year.
Okay.
He hasn't looked in any game as sharp as Tua did against the Buffalo Bills.
No, 2 of the last 2 games, Tua played well in versus Arizona. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing is the
But
offense.
for a guy that people were saying should retire, which maybe
Well,
it
because
would be a wise move, but
it's not getting hit. Again, the offensive line, they're having him get rid of the ball like a half a
oh
second.
yeah, no, he just throws it. He doesn't even have the full grip on the snap yet.
Are they even in a route yet?
Yeah, I mean that's the way he plays. When he's sharp, he
No,
throws those darts. I have to give
Maybe
it to
they
him. I
scared
mean, he's
the
as good at
spirit.
that as anybody we've seen.
Maybe they were like, listen, motherfuckers, if he gets touched, you all are going to with Liz Cheney. Like the offensive line hasn't played this well in fucking years. The last 2 weeks, they're road grading. Like the way they're running the ball, like is
And
amazing.
tough, yeah, tough, good inside running. It isn't always these sweeps, double reverses,
No,
and all of
it's
this stuff.
running.
Where they like to pass, toss the ball to Tyreek Hill as he comes around the end, and he gets smacked for a loss of 3. Not even trying it, just powering the ball. Very Dan Campbell-esque in their approach.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here. The Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubitz. Sorry for the late start there. I was furiously punching up 3 different links that I have for the show. Every now and then, one of them clicks in, and it took about 10 minutes. I was texting you and calling like a madman, Lubie, trying to see what was going on here.
So just about to send you the link again. I was typing up our today's description as we hit a middle of the week point.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff there. There really is. First of all, I doubt that will ever happen again, right? Where you have some allusion in the same sentence while trying to portray a concept of Mike McDaniel and Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And drawing a parallel between the two of them in the same sentence. Could there be any more of a radical departure in terms of persona? Mike McDaniel and Dan Campbell. Campbell comes out there, this swashbuckling type. Doesn't he look like he's going to play in the game? He really does when he comes out there. You're now frozen, Louie. There you are. Okay. And then, Mike McDaniel, to his credit, he shrugged off the throes of this, a 5-game losing streak, and managed to get that win against the Rams. And now it's amazing how in the NFL, you could be a downtrodden team, a team that's had a god-awful first half of the season. The Dolphins sitting there at 2-6. That normally would be the halfway point, but it's not quite anymore with the 17-game season, which an odd number of games is kind of strange, isn't it, Libby? What do you think?
Yeah,
it's one thing if you're in a series, best of 7. Okay, you need an odd number of games. You're not going to. I always thought it was odd that you would have preliminary boxing matches that went 4 rounds because the chances of having a draw are immense in that situation. Whereas if they fought 3 rounds, if you didn't think they were capable of going further than that, which for safety's sake, you got a guy and he's in his first couple of bouts, maybe he's not equipped to go 10 rounds or 6 rounds, whatever. But why would you have an even number of rounds in these shorter versions of fights? 10 rounds was kind of a standard. All right, if they're tied at 5 rounds apiece in the estimation of the brilliant scorekeepers, then so be it. All right, at least they fought 10 rounds. It's enough to decide the thing. But 2 rounds apiece, too small. Either go 3 or 5. I thought of that. The 17-game season and the regular season, though, Louie, I really find it hard to track, don't you?
It's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know that it's too many games because it's hard to believe. We always say this every year, don't we? You're waiting forever for the football season. People are waiting around. They can't wait to start plunging on the NFL, which really is almost like jumping off the Acapulcan cliffs, isn't it? Is it the same kind of treachery? Every game comes down to it. We talked about it last week, where every game is almost like being Gary Gilmore. They hand you a blindfold, a last drag on a cigarette, and put you in front of a fucking firing squad because they almost all come down. Like everything is being decided in the final few seconds of an NFL game. This was the case last night, though, Lubie. Here's a comparison that you would never think that we would make on the show. Game day coaching. Mario Cristobal. What do Mario Cristobal and Eric Spoelstra now have in common? Did you catch this, Lubie? I mean, you're never going to see the Heat lose a game because of a brutal Eric Spoelstra mistake. Would you in your wildest dreams? Maybe in year number 1. I mean, this was a guy they plucked out of the video room. He was filming Nick Harrison's bar mitzvah, wasn't he? And then next thing you know, he was the head fucking coach of the team. Guy was on the video squad. Turned out that it was a brilliant maneuver. If you ever had a Riley protege, I mean, this is it, a Riley prodigy for that matter. And Eric Spoelstra last night, the Heat go into overtime against the Detroit Pistons. And in overtime, your man, Tyler Hero, you've been touting him all season long. All of a sudden, you've seen this vital
He's
transformation.
playing good ball. I mean, you have to give the guy credit when credit's due. I mean,
Hits 10 threes in the game. Hit 10 threes, ends up with 40 points, including what appeared to be the game winner. With 1.8 seconds to go in overtime, Hero drains a bucket, and the Heat are up 2 points. 1.8 seconds to go. Detroit gets the ball back. They inbound and execute a lob that goes for the game-tying bucket. Spoelstra immediately calls timeout, thinking they will be able to advance the ball and at least have a shot, one last shot, tied at 121 to go ahead and maybe win the game in the first overtime period. But what happens, Chris Webber? They don't have any timeouts.
oh, really?
Spoelstra. This is Eric Spoelstra we're talking about.
Oh, God. I didn't see.
They have 11 guys behind the bench there that are all coaches for the Miami Heat. They have the 5 assistants that are sitting on the bench, 15 more guys that are behind the bench, UD and Alonzo, and not one person was aware of the fact they had no timeouts left. No, Eric, we don't have any timeouts left. So they call a timeout. They send Malik Beasley to the free throw line for the 2 technical free throws, and he makes them both, and that's it. The final, Detroit 123, Miami 121.
Like, I saw people bitching about how they lost. I was tracking it. I saw that they were down big to the fucking Pistons, which is per usual. I don't know what it is with the Pistons, but they can't play anyone well except for the Heat. The Heat always fuck around with the Pistons. But then they stormed back, and I saw Hero playing out of his mind. And I was like, all right, they had like tied it with, they had tied it with like 30 seconds left. And then when I forgot about it, came back, and they had lost in overtime. I'm like, what the fuck? And then
that's how they lost.
People bitching about Spoelstra, but I didn't realize he literally.
Spoelstra.
First of all, with 1.8, the Pistons shouldn't fucking score. They're the goddamn like they're one of the bottom 4 teams in the league. Like with 1.8, you should be able to hold defense for 1.8. Then
it happens. It's not like it's uncommon in the NBA where you see, look, they were about to take a shot at having the score change again. So it would have been 3 score changes in the span of inside of 2 seconds. In an overtime situation in an NBA game. Not uncommon. It's kind of like the NFL has been this year, but much more frequency. You see those kind of things happen in the NBA. But they do get the bucket, and it would be routine to call a timeout, except for the fact, now, I can't imagine Spoelstra was unaware. I don't know what the number of timeouts you get in the 5-minute overtime period is. Do you get awarded new timeouts? I would think so.
Yeah. I think you get 2. I thought you
do you get 2?
I thought you got 2.
2 timeouts. So he was unaware that he'd already used his 2 timeouts. Eric Spoelstra, he doesn't forget about details like this. This is Mr. fucking Detail, Lubie.
That's
you would want him detailing your car because there would not be one speck anywhere.
The way Hero was playing
dirt.
You would think if there's another overtime, they blow the doors off the next overtime. That's annoying.
Where's Quinn, to say, hey, you don't have any timeouts. Remember that, Spo. If they make the basket, we just got to go with it. May as well just inbound the ball and go to double overtime. That would have been it. But very rare. And that comes on the same night, Lubie, as the Florida Panthers end their 7-game winning streak.
Oh,
as that was snapped last night at the hands of the New Jersey Devils. Jacob Markstrom, he was, what wasn't he touted as the second coming by the Panthers at one point? A huge motherfucker, isn't he?
After Luongo, he was supposed to be the next dude.
Yeah.
And
that didn't work out, but he actually, I think, has acquitted himself pretty well. He had 34 saves last night for the New Jersey Devils. It wasn't Bobrovsky in the pipes there. They lose 4-1. They lost their 7-game winning streak in the process. Spencer Knight in goal for the Panthers. Got shelled and ended up, he only had 20 saves in the game. So he wasn't stopping much. I don't know. I didn't see any of the game, so I couldn't criticize Spencer Knight's play. Maybe there was abysmal defense that was on display, but nonetheless, a bad night for local teams, Louis. They both went down, but you would never in a million years think that a Mario Cristobal-type mistake was made by... I don't even know that Cristobal's done that. I mean, it's one thing to call a lame play. To be unaware, you talk about clock management, Louis. To be unaware of the fact that you didn't have another timeout, a player, okay, I understand. Chris Webber was crucified for calling that timeout. But you're a player in the game. You're not a coach that's just sitting there on the sidelines, and your whole job is to administrate these sort of things and be completely aware of what was going on. And I can't believe the number of assistant coaches they have in the NBA. Can you imagine Red Auerbach with like 10 assistants sitting around him? With all of that input, how could you fucking blow that situation?
Still do that? Like, how do you still blow the timeout? Like, isn't that what you're doing in the time? Whatever last time, aren't you? Okay, this all the amount of to tell the players. It's usually the players that would fuck that up. Like, aren't you like, all right?
A player I can understand. It calls a timeout, thinking,
that's the coach's job. Okay, remember, guys, one timeout left. Okay, remember, guys, no timeouts. Like, how do
you were a coach? Yes. You would have been aware of this.
100%. You know how many timeouts you have. I'm
those little 8-year-olds would not have incurred a brutal loss like that. They at least would have gone to double overtime if Mike Lubitz was coaching the team.
Plenty of brutal losses, but yes, I knew how many timeouts we had, and I know how many fouls we had. Like, and I had to ask them. They weren't just telling me this information. Like, it's the NBA. Like, you should. The fact that you have 2 rows of coaches, let it be like the crystal ball. It's someone's job to track clock. Like, someone's job to track timeouts. That's weird. That's a weird way to lose a game.
Unbelievable! I'm stunned when I found out the result, and that it was. I heard a lot of criticism about Spoelstra. I was watching some of the post-game show.
Yep, that's what I said.
And they were kind of like flirting around the whole issue about a bozo move by Eric Spoelstra costing the Heat a game, possibly so. I mean, it might have lost anyway, but nonetheless, whatever chance they had, and they clearly were going to be going into double overtime in that spot. There's virtually no way to lose that game unless the inbound pass was stolen and in a split second somehow hoisted up to the basket and it goes in. Holy Caitlin Clark, what are we talking about?
Exactly.
But wow, I mean, so that was a rough one. And what does that make the Heat? Are they 4-6 now on the season?
Yes.
Jimmy Butler didn't play, so you could say, well, geez, the fact that they were in the game, what was somewhat lucky. Detroit is not as bad as they were last year, Lubie. They're not a complete disaster. Kate Cunningham continues to grow. We have to get Grant Long back on the show to get some NBA analysis because I don't know that we're totally plugged into the NBA season yet.
Oh, you're not wrong. Detroit actually has an equal record to the Heat. They're 5-7.
Oh, 5-7 Heat are? Okay.
Oh, the Heat are 4-6.
4-6, okay.
The Pistons are 5-7. Like
2 games under 500.
Bottom rung, they actually are middle of the road.
They're not great by any means, but at least it doesn't look like they're headed for an 8-win season or whatever it was that they had last year. So, yeah, well, and they should be, right? How did the teams that draft number 1, number 2, number 3? Now Detroit kind of got hosed a little bit because even though they have the worst record in the league, they somehow, I believe, only one time ended up with the number 1 overall pick, and it was a year where there really wasn't that much excitement. It wasn't like you were going to automatically have a franchise player. Kate Cunningham is good, nice
but he's more like a third dude. Maybe in a couple of years, a second guy. Like he's not Wemby.
No, this isn't some franchise maker where everybody's eyes are popping out of their head, and the guy that ends up with the number 1 pick in the lottery is, beyond the scope of his wildest imagination in terms of being euphoric. And we've had years where you had to make a choice there. I mean, Holmgren and Banchero were a tough choice. And actually, Orlando made the right move, or so it seems, even though both are out injured now. But you would have to think Holmgren was a far more fragile player. He didn't even play his first year as a rookie after getting one of those weird microfractures.
Yep.
And so he sits out a year, comes back, looks really good. And now he got smacked to the wood there and has some kind of bad pelvis injury. Not pelvis, but back injury, I think.
He's going to be, the way he's built, he's going, even as perimeter-oriented as bigs are now, he's going to flirt with injuries. Look, that was the big concern for him. And he's put on no size. Like, his frame is not built.
He's a skinny motherfucker, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, Banchero he's not known to be injured. The dude, and he's become a real number 1. Like, Jeff Holmgren hasn't shown signs that he'd be a number 1. He's showed signs that he really works good in that system, and he works. He's a perfect pick for Oklahoma City. Banchero is a number 1 player on a team that until he got hurt was playing as well as anyone in the Eastern Conference. Like they are ticketed to be a top 5 seed, win their division. Like they made the right move there. And look, I'm sure Oklahoma City's happy to have Holmgren, but they're going to have to deal with his injury problems his whole career.
At least though, there was a choice there that you could debatably, have taken either guy. And most people thought Holmgren was going to be the number 1 pick of the Orlando Magic, and I think that came as a mild surprise on draft day. I remember watching that draft and thinking, "Wow, they took Banchero. That's kind of weird," because Holmgren was
More well
so
rounded.
highly touted coming out of Gonzaga, and maybe rightfully so. But like you said, a skinny motherfucker, and oh my god, yeah. I mean, we're talking like Tom Burleson, that type of skinny, right?
No, he's thin.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, that was an interesting night in the NBA. Detroit, though, not the horror story they were last year. And was that one of the Cup games, Lubie, or did that not count for the NBA Cup? Because
No,
I'm
I don't.
really critically concerned here. If Sponsor is blowing Cup games,
There you go.
that maybe that is a strategy of NBA teams that they want to dodge that extra game. Jim Sarney pointed out to us that the semifinal game, this is weird, the semifinal game actually is part of the regular season in the NBA
Okay,
in-season
then I'm
tournaments.
confused. I thought the last
How could that be, though? Wouldn't that cause these teams to play an extra game?
they are playing more game. Okay, maybe give them days off. That okay, I don't.
It's not even days off. It's just
It's a preset. I don't know how that. Okay,
how could you have four teams go to Las Vegas to contest the semifinals and finals of the in-season
you
tournament?
count them. It's fine, but yeah, how do you count? Any
And
of those
the semifinal game does not count. It does count for the regular season. You couldn't have anticipated what that game was going to be, could you, Louie?
No, because that's the thing is like the schedule's preset the rest of the way. I was going to say, okay, you could give
The other things, the knockout
like
round.
FSU has like a third bye this year because they played that extra game, to open versus Georgia Tech. So that evens out their games. That's preset. Like you don't know who's going to be in the fucking semis, but the schedule is preset. How does that? I don't understand any of this.
That's it's a little piece of magic that they worked there. How did they make this game fucking disappear? I don't know. Anyway, if that was one of the tournament games, it hurts. It really does.
It just hurts because, like you said, everyone remembers.
It hurts our chances of winning the cup.
I don't give a shit about the cup
Because that's going to be all we're going to salvage out of this season, I believe, Luke.
Yeah,
I don't think
you're
these are
wrong.
not championship material. I don't mean to write them off, but if Spoelstra is going to make bonehead mistakes, critical mental errors, how can you look your players in the eye after making a Now his body of work is so strong that
it's supposed
no matter what he did, I mean, if he ran out on the court and tackled a guy, you would say, all right, he might have lost his mind, but he's still a great coach.
You didn't do that.
Yeah. But the no timeout, I mean, that's a bad one when the coach loses track of the timeouts. Never good. And as I said, I mean, how many guys are sitting behind him?
There's two benches.
There is I mean,
Allen. They have literally two rows full. I think. Who's still there and some
like 10 guys with serious looks on their face in suits behind him.
They all just sit there, and now we know what they do. Nothing.
Nothing. They're not even paying attention.
No, Spo, no.
Somebody should have waved this fucking thing off. All right, Lubie. Not like we are immune from making mistakes. So one mistake that you could never say this was a mistake is to have too much of this man in your life. An inspiration to all. It was great yesterday. I was doing my interview show there on Bleacher Brothers Network, and I popped Craig Minervini on because I just wanted to get into some local teams and have some fun. Of course, Minnie has kind of been aced out a little bit of the Panther coverage since they switched to the CW.
Because he does because the Bally.
All women is what they want. All women.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
On all of this stuff. Now they do have some really good female reporters on the Panthers.
So they still use Blaylock for the Panthers.
Jessica's still there, and they have a young blonde woman who's very attractive, whose name I don't know. I should, but I've seen her enough times. Does a very good job. It really does a good job.
It was a concerted effort to try and be more open-minded or inclusive. Is that what it is? Like, because if Blaylock had the same contract, you would think that Minnie has. She does a very similar job than Minnie does with. It's not Bally's, right? I don't even know who the fuck.
It's now FanDuel, believe it or not. FanDuel TV. Yeah.
So she would. It's not a contract thing. Okay, that's interesting. That they're targeting. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a whole new organization. Maybe they just decided, hey, listen, we want women all over the place. That's what attracts eyeballs. Nobody's watching hockey, and they're in the regular season. So let's get some hot babes on here. Could be. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to minimize and marginalize the job that these women do. They do a nice job, no
They
doubt.
do a good job.
All good. Yeah. But Minnie, I mean, he's been there for,
I know, that sucks.
what, 24 years? He's been
they're
doing
the
it
one
since
team that
2000.
wins. They're the one team that wins. So, like, let him get something positive.
Right.
Panthers.
I was talking to him about, well, Tony could address this too, but Tony probably didn't cover a lot of lousy teams here in Miami. But where he was involved, there he is. There's Tony Segreto. Let's bring him in here. How are you, Tone? You look good.
I'm feeling great. How are you? Hi, Lubie.
Good morning.
We're doing well. I mean, we're in shock here that Eric Spoelstra's mental error cost the Miami Heat a ball game. Can you believe this? I mean,
he's only 1 in 82. Give him a chance.
No, I mean, we know the guy's great. He's brilliant. And he's already listed, even though he's still active, among the greatest coaches of all time, as expressed and the opinion formed by his peers. So, listen, everybody knows he's a great coach, but to forget how many timeouts you have, I mean, it's one thing Chris Webber forgets. All right, he's in the heat of the game there. He's running up and down. He gets his hands on the loose ball. He tries to call timeout, and everybody goes, "Fuck, Chris, we don't have any timeouts." But
it happens. You know, we forget. We think these people are infallible.
Good word. Nice.
And they're not. They make mistakes, and I'm sure he's kicking himself today. But give him a break.
Oh no, I mean, look, I'm not going to change my opinion about Spoelstra.
No, me either. But it's you doubt it for a second. You go, wow, how'd that happen? But it happens.
I'm just amazed by it because I am overwhelmed by the number of coaches that the NBA teams employ.
It's insane.
They have more coaches than players, literally.
They have as much as the NFL.
Maybe more. I mean, that whole row behind them, they have guys like sitting in the upper deck that are coaches because they don't have room down there on the floor. I mean, they're all
crazy. It's crazy.
Shit. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So anyway, that happened last night. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, Tony. We got to express the strong sentiments we have for a few of our sponsors. And then we're going to come back. Tony Segreto, Old School, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Speaking of fine sponsors, that's coming up in just a moment. Now that. 8:33.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
I wasn't sure the right year here, but I was trying to find all of the names listed on the Miami Heat coaching staff, Tony. It's pretty extensive. Is Karan Butler now a coach with the Miami Heat?
Butler's one of the higher assistants, actually.
Okay, maybe I had the right year then here. Wow, it's amazing. They have like 12 guys, Tony.
Yes, there's at least 10 coaches. It's not, when you see, they always talk about, oh, he's made it himself up to the first row. I'm like, how many? there's guys up in the rafters.
Yeah, they got guys outside selling arepas that are part of the coaching staff. It's incredible.
Let me in.
You got those little shish kebabs and a case full of Fanta orange soda. Did you ever stop by one of those places and eat something, Tony?
No.
See, now that would have been a good piece. I was I had Craig Minervini. He says hello, by the way. He has great respect for you. Was a guest yesterday on one of my shows, and yeah, I mean, did you ever think, hey, let's sample the food that's being sold by street vendors outside the arenas here?
No, although that would be a great story.
Man,
Well, especially if you found out the source of where they were getting this meat from. And then what do they do when the Heat play on a Tuesday night
exactly.
and you're exiting the arena and you see the guy's got like 40, 50 shish kebabs still to be sold. You're one of the last guys out of there, so you know they're not getting bought that night. So if the next home game is a week from Tuesday, does the guy bring those back out?
Are you having nothing
Is there
but-
any health department inspection of these people?
If there was,
It's not Tropical Acres, and it's not the
no, that's Delaware. That's for sure.
floor at the Gulf Stream.
I mean, I always wanted to try this stuff, but I was afraid to. Did you ever stop and get one of those shish kebabs, Tony? No.
No.
Not even at a Hurricane game? I mean,
No.
okay.
No. No.
I think I had an arepa because those are pretty solid. Most of the time, those are actually.
How are the hot dog? I never had a hot dog either.
No, yeah.
Oh, what, from a street vendor?
Yeah, no way.
You know, they didn't sell hot dogs, though. They don't sell common shit out here in Miami. They sell stuff that you would never think anybody would sell on a street corner. I was shocked when I first moved here. I used to live on off of Lejeune Road.
Okay.
And I was always amazed, with the guy with the little bag of limes, and then they peeled the skin off part of the limes, which I never fully understood. And the guy's sitting out there in a corner, and I kept thinking to myself, I moved here from California. I thought, well, geez, you know what? That could happen any time where you're driving home, you're fighting traffic, and you're thinking, fuck, I need a bag of limes. And you're like, whoa. Now, I've been in that situation where you were hoping to find a guy selling flowers.
Flowers. The
Yeah.
flowers.
Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
anniversaries,
It's
occasions
a
where
good save. It's a good save. Oh my God, I forgot. Boom.
Yeah, the flowers are clutch.
and you're
The
like,
lime,
hey, you. Okay, yeah.
a
How
whole
much?
chicken. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't eat the whole chicken.
Chicken.
It's an uncooked chicken. It's like,
What are they doing? They
like
serving
where
up
did you
chicken?
have this chicken? The shrimp. The shrimp is always the one that I'm like, do people buy this from you?
Pork rinds. What are those other things? The
know
little,
what else?
they're
You know
kind of
what
like
else you won't
pastries. They
buy?
have cinnamon on them. They're always selling them in Hialeah.
You know what
on
else
the
you
street
won't
corner.
buy? The guys who sell fish out of their
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right out of the cooler. Yeah,
Oh,
stone
I-
crabs.
that's
That's pretty
shit.
common.
Like, who's buying that?
who's buying it?
Like,
There's
this
a guy very reputable, does well for himself. Operates on Sample Road in the Margate area, and he's like the stone crab guy. He has a giant line.
Well,
He's
that's
selling-
different. Stone crabs you can't screw up.
Hey, well, you know him too. I guess that's a
I
guy
mean, it
that
could be a
like,
couple of weeks old. No, I mean it's sitting out there in the street. What do you think? You never did that, huh, Tony? You never thought to assign somebody? I mean, even if you didn't want to do the thing yourself, somebody new to the sports department, say, "Hey, listen, go out there and eat all of the shit that they sell outside."
Tell me how you feel.
I
the next-
want a hot dog.
Hot dog, I would trust a hot dog. Can you really screw up a hot dog? I
No,
mean, after growing up in New York, you buy hot dogs off some very questionable people. No?
But the hot dogs in New York are really good.
Yeah, they're great.
Hot
Those-
dogs-
So you think? I mean, I'm not sure what level of inspection they're subjected to.
The
Those
hot
carts.
dogs at Yankee Stadium are excellent.
Oh
good.
yeah, well that's
stadium.
ballpark
You
dogs.
spend $15.
Oh, different thing. They ruined it though. I mean, even the Marlins can't get that right. Where they sell the hot dogs that are in the aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Fucking how can you ruin a ballpark hot dog any more than that? You just hand the guy a thing. I mean, I want to see somebody put it on a bun and
Yeah.
spread that mustard on there.
You bite into it, and it's still, nothing happens. It's like
Yeah.
rubber. It's just-
Oh no, yeah, those are horrible.
so
I
bad.
mean, I don't know when they make them either. All right, what about your Hurricanes, Tony? Where do we stand? Losers. I don't know if you
They're
had
still
the
in
same
the top
kind of
10.
trepidation about that game that some people did. Mike Mayo was all over the money line on that game, and unfortunately for Hurricane fans, reality smacked them in the face. We've been waiting for this for a while, and they lose to Georgia Tech. What did you make of that?
They're still in it. They're still in the top 10.
Okay.
They're
Did they stay in the top 10 or did they
yeah.
fall to 12?
they're 9, I think, in the
Number 9? Oh, in the CFP or whatever that is, College Football Playoff Poll? Okay.
Yeah. But now this leaves the door open to I mean, how many one-loss teams are going to make it into the 12? At least.
You would think some 2-loss teams are going to make it. No.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you would think.
I don't know that there will be 12 teams that are significant that only have 1 loss. Not sure.
Yeah.
I was looking at somebody doing the brackets already as they would stand today, and I think they had the Hurricanes still seeded 4th. So they had to buy, and then they were
can
going into
win
the next
the
round.
ACC championship. They can still win it.
Yeah,
But,
if they went out, they control their own destiny. It's
What about this performance, though, Tony? Does it leave you in any way suspicious of how good the team was all along? That they dodged all of those close games. You have the feeling that the Chiefs are going to run into this situation, maybe even this week, as the Kansas City Chiefs have been winning all of these games that are decided by the narrowest of margins and with a large element of luck.
Or you can say they're destined to go all the way again. Because they win these games by the slimmest of margins.
I don't know. I think it catches up with you, don't you? I mean, it caught up with the Hurricanes. You could have seen that coming. It wasn't like it was impossible.
You could have seen it coming with Miami.
To envision. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So you're willing to shrug that off as just an unfortunate misstep?
For once. If it happens again, then we have some problems.
They don't play this week, do they? The Hurricanes, are they not playing? I thought they had 2 games left.
Yeah, they play
Syracuse and Wake Forest.
They play Wake, I think.
Why don't I see them here on my odds board?
No, you're right. The Canes are off this week.
Okay.
Canes and FSU are off this week.
All right, very good.
They play next week, and then the following week they play Syracuse.
All right, and all right. So the Canes, you're not concerned about that? Didn't affect your opinion of the team at all? No. Okay, they lose that ball game. A lot of people were shook up about that, and didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah, but
very one-dimensional team. I mean, it's how do you lose to Georgia Tech? I think Georgia Tech was missing their top 2 running backs. Their quarterback has been hurt. They were shuffling 2 different guys in there, and the guy that they were starting threw 6 passes in the game. I thought it was. Did they take that game plan from the 72 or 73 Super Bowl, where they used Paul Warfield as a decoy and threw the ball 7 times?
You forget.
I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I was expecting eventually they were going to lose one of these games.
These guys may have taken them too lightly. They may have overlooked them. They may have said, "Oh, we got a week off after this. Let's go on vacation." And then by the time they try to flip the switch, Georgia Tech's already, they believe they can win. They believe they can win, and they believe in all of the the guts and heart that they have. And then they have a home field. So, you take all that in consideration and you got to win. And, it happens. These are 18, 19-year-old kids. And it happens. Look what happened to Florida State this year. My God.
That's a completely different story.
I fell off a cliff. I mean,
I don't know that you could have ever anticipated that.
They went through the transfer portal just way too much.
Who, FSU?
Yeah, it gives and it takes. I mean, that's the problem. They went and it helped them win 13 games, and then they just kept presuming that it would work every time, and it's not going to work every time. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
They couldn't find some crooked politician that could have shoveled another $1 million in Cam Ward's pocket. That would have changed everything. I don't know that. I mean, if your team is that bad, would one player have made the difference totally? The ukulele kid turned out to be a disaster, but is it enough to account for going 1-9 or whatever they are this year?
It didn't help.
Yeah,
they fell off the cliff. They fell off the cliff.
All right, and your Miami Dolphins rebounded, Tony. You had thrown in the towel. You never. I've never in my lifetime did I expect this.
Don't doubt them. You don't doubt them. The other Hurricanes.
Don't doubt them. Okay.
Don't doubt them.
Because they're coming back. We do have our dear friend Ed Garcia ready to join us here from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. He's about to appear on your screen, and he did. Look at that, man.
Where are you, Ed?
I'm hanging out in beautiful Daytona today.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yes, right next to Embry-Riddle. It's an absolutely beautiful area. I love driving through here and seeing all the little small Cessnas and stuff flying around. But yeah, we have the Port Orange restaurant right around the racetrack, and we're putting in some new digital fancy equipment and getting rid of the old school, pen and paper and printers and all that fun stuff. So moving into the future.
Moving into
Very nice, man. I would imagine too. You're gearing up. You don't really have to gear up for the holidays, do you? The holidays just sort of happen, and you guys own it. From what we've
I'm
seen.
super blessed. Yes, I mean, but we do. We bring in new staff members, and we have to build up the staff because it's the season. Gift cards are crazy at large parties. College kids come home, and so we get to see a lot of business, which is fantastic. And the snowbirds come down. I know, Defo, you were talking about spending your summers in Canada, so and so we'll always have room for you here in the winter when you come back down and visit.
Do you guys do anything? I know you guys, like you talk about, it's just blocking and tackling and doing the same stuff every day, but do you guys do any, because we know you brought in the bread pudding, so you do add things. Do you do anything different for the holidays? Are there any kind of specials or things you guys bring in? You do the line dancing, are we wearing Santa hats? Like, is there anything different when it comes to Christmas time, Hanukkah, the holidays, New Year's, and all that?
I mean, Lubie, you nailed it. We say plain and simple, we block and tackle. The only change we recently just did is the family packs. You remember something we came up with during COVID.
Huge. They're huge.
And we kind of just reorganized all that. It's still a little funky when you order them on our app online. But again, the mobile app is absolutely awesome. But all the restaurants will have between 3 and 11 different family packs, which the value behind it is absolutely fantastic. So if hey, you don't have time for dinner or you're having a couple friends over, I mean, the value you can get there's a beef tip family pack, chicken critters, I know that TikTok made that one super famous with the chicken breast. People
chicken breast ones.
Yeah, meal planning with it. So, and you get a ton of food that, heck, even if it's by yourself, I mean, for Tony, it'll last almost 2 weeks.
And you said that you said that you stay and block and tackle the same way every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it that draws people in for the holidays?
I think, the energy inside the restaurant is number one, but the consistency is what's most important. And then what I call our edge is the unreasonable hospitality. When you come in, it was really cool. Last night I was walking out of Daytona. There was a couple, and I was wearing my shirt because we have, between 3 and 5 in Taiwan now, and it's written in Mandarin, and they knew Mandarin. Kind of ironic, but they're like, oh, tell us about that Texas Roadhouse and this, that, but they've gone all over the world and they love the consistency.
Oh, really? They're eating Roadhouse everywhere. Nice.
And they also, and then they were like, but we haven't been here in 4 months. And our server remembered that we were going to Seattle. And it's the little things like that I think make a big difference.
It really does. It really does. It's just those, it has nothing to do with food. It has everything to do with service.
Yep.
And if your server just remembers that you like extra lemon with it, or you like little, slivers of whatever, that goes a long, long way.
Absolutely. It's that genuine touch, because I'll tell you, as labor wages increase and things like that, we really strive to push that piece with our team, because again, everyone is getting automated. You go into fast food or even casual dining restaurants now are all going automated, where you order your food at the table off a little computer and then they just have a server bring it out. They can drink orders. Yeah, that's the new edge. And I'll tell you right now, Texas Roadhouse will not be doing that.
Interesting.
We are sticking old school, where a server's going to come up and say, Tony, what size margarita do you need today? You want the 1 or 2 gallon?
He wants the 10-gallon hat. It's Texas Roadhouse, always famous for the margaritas. So you're unlikely to switch to robot servers?
Absolutely not. And we've been approached plenty of times.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's that in Miami. You're starting to see them pop up a little bit, like the little robots running the food to your tables.
Yes.
And
how weird is that, by the way? I mean, I don't know that I would feel comfortable in a place like that.
You see, there it could go, the cost of fixing it, because if it breaks, it's going to cost just as much as if they had a server there.
You're probably right. We're not going to go down that road. I mean, I'm going to trip over that thing.
And do you have to tip a robot? That would be the other question.
Well, I mean,
can you imagine the people from Let's Eat South Florida, the Mike Mayo thing with the Sun Sentinel, which has 175,000 very unsatisfied subscribers because they bitch about everything. But imagine seeing one of these people standing up and chewing out a robot because they're super stoned or something.
You got my daughter wrong.
Choking some machine. Unbelievable. Hey, what do you make of what's going on now? I know Michigan's kind of been out of it. You thought it might be an off year, and unfortunately, that turned out to be the case. I know you keep your allegiance very strong there, and the Michigan fans don't abdicate the position that they normally enjoy. I'm just rooting on, without any regard for the fact that it isn't necessarily going their way. They're still happy to win the national championship. But and Tony shrugged off this Hurricane loss as being relatively insignificant. I don't know. Did you catch the Miami Georgia Tech game by any chance? And what do you think? Is Miami championship material this year?
I definitely feel Miami will make a run for it. I do feel it's anyone's game. Between, even though Georgia lost, I still think they could make a run for it. Texas has a really good opportunity. Alabama has a great opportunity. And Miami has a great opportunity. This is going to be, I think, one of the most exciting college championships yet. And because it's really going to change with this NIL money these next couple of years. I mean, it's absolutely insane what I'm reading online and in the news right now that's happening for all the next recruiting classes, the amount of money that's being offered. Out there. But I feel Miami's got a really great chance. And I'll tell you, beginning of the season, I would have picked Texas. And I don't know right now. I got to see what's happening these next 2 weeks are going to dictate, it's typically all the big games. So I am rooting for Michigan to take Ohio State down and give them their first loss, though.
We're with you 1,000% on that.
I don't know if it will happen. The odds are definitely not in my favor, but I can still hope and dream.
Stranger things have happened, Ed.
100%.
Absolutely. So, but anyway, that would be really cool 4 years in a row. But in the meantime, I'm going to still hold my allegiance to the Lions as well. So that's
your Lions. Oh my God, they're like I would say number one in the NFC for sure, and I would put them in the top 3 in the league right now.
Agreed. I'm going to be hitting Tony up for some Super Bowl tickets. But what about that story on the kicker for the Lions? I mean, did you know the backstory on him? He played in college, then he started a brick paving company, didn't work out. Houston picked him up, and they cut him after the first game. He went to, the Canadian League, and his first game, he kicked like a 64-yarder, got picked up for the Lions, went home and won the game winner yesterday against his hometown. I mean, what a freaking cool story.
You got to love that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, brick paving didn't work out. Let me go try out for the NFL.
And did you see what happened? They were interviewing him as he was coming off the field there, and still in the midst of the celebration, being carried off on the shoulders of the linemen and the people that were blocking for him on the kick. And they said, hey, what are you going to do now? You just won this ball game for the Lions. He says, I'm going to Texas Roadhouse. I thought that was brilliant marketing on your part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're feeling it. You're feeling strong and ready to go, right, Ed?
100%. Yeah, it's really cool. I think Dan Campbell, I mean, that's a story all in itself of leadership. And my favorite word, I just did a thing out in Texas, and it was awesome because I spoke to a group of Dallas people 2 days after the Dallas Lions game, and I just opened up the presentation with the word grit. And that's what Dan Campbell brings between his leadership and his grit and not giving up. I mean, what an awesome story, for a team that's never seen the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm ticketed for it right now.
Yes.
Yeah. He fits the bill. I mean, he could be the poster child for the city also.
Absolutely.
Dan Campbell. Lubie loved it when he was running the Oklahoma drill, when he was briefly the interim coach of the Miami Dolphins, and guys' heads were rolling off the field, and Campbell was like, yeah, guys, that's the way to do it. Tried to kill people in practice, but maybe he's tempered some of that since he's taken over the Lions, because certainly has had some great results, although still roundly criticized for. We were talking about Eric Spoelstra. The guy never makes a mistake. He calls a timeout when he doesn't have one and caused the heated game last night against the Detroit Pistons.
That's
But,
right.
yeah, I mean, Campbell for going for a couple of fourth downs and throwing the ball in those spots, roundly criticized for possibly costing Detroit a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Seemed like that was more on him than anything last year in the NFC title game. But loved, I mean, adored by virtually everybody. For
You learn from mistakes.
his whole persona.
The big ones, you learn from them. Hey, Ed, if someone wants to get a gift card for the holidays to give around the office, the kids, whatever, where do they get it? How do they get it? And what do they do?
You can do it online, through our TexasRoadhouse.com website. However, I'll tell you, if you go into your local Texas Roadhouse, you could finagle, big fancy word, finagle some pretty good deals with your local Texas Roadhouse. They're running different promotions every single day.
Oh, nice.
Some of them, so meaning like you could go in, typically I'll tell you right now, your best deal is going to be $100, which that's what Lubie spends in like every couple days. But when you spend the $100, you get bounce backs. So you could use them for yourself, give them to other family members, and build a lot of value with that. There's also some really cool business opportunities as well. If you wanted to get some signage or do some, basically cross networking, and those are some bigger packages that we do with a lot of different businesses throughout the area.
Nice.
And you get like 10%. You can actually, Tony, if you want, we should for fun, you can get a gift card with your picture printed on it.
Oh, that's
cool.
Wow.
What a cool gift, is getting a gift card with Tony's face on there. So.
That'd be awesome. All right, Ed, always a pleasure, my friend. Enjoy the scenery up there in Daytona Beach. That's great. And great having you on the show, as always.
Take care, guys. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Ed Garcia, ladies and gentlemen, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants.
He is so great.
What a great guy, huh?
He is the best.
Tony, you only know, I mean, outside of us, you only know good people. I don't know why you made. I mean, you were like Spelstra here. You made a mistake, but
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But
still here.
I keep hoping that every week that I'm on, change a little bit.
you see some kind of epiphany, some transformation.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And not happening. Too late here. Yeah.
although Lubie's changed.
Yeah,
he's gotten better. He's gotten
in terms of what? As a person? No, Lubie was always a good guy.
He's losing his hair. He's losing his hair. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But we'll forgive him.
He looks good, though. I mean, you know what? If you're going to be losing your hair, I think you have to be in shape. You don't want to be a balding fat guy. No, but when you see a guy that has the head shaved and the guy's in like great shape, looks like he just got out of the Marines or something. It's a good look, no?
It's a good look.
I mean, you forget about the fact that the guy doesn't have hair. In fact, it becomes an afterthought. You're like, oh yeah, look at that, the guy's bald on top of it.
Have you ever thought about a crew cut, Jeff?
I had crew cuts when I was a kid. It was popular.
Young, and then you hold on to your hair as long as you can.
I hated them. I really did. But you had that butch wax that was like a stick. It looked like a deodorant thing, and you used to push the front up. Yeah,
I had them too.
But in general, I was not a fan of the crew cut. I really didn't enjoy. I mean, it was a style very briefly.
How many people do you know that have them anymore?
Crew cuts? Yeah, you see people with really short hair. That buzz cut is very popular, no?
Yeah, but the crew cut is different.
Crew cut.
It's all the way down.
I think Whitey Herzog was the last guy I saw that was able to make that look work. The white rat. All right, Tony, what do you got planned for the weekend? We're going to see you on Friday out at Gulfstream Park. You've been plunging lately?
I have a doctor's appointment.
Okay.
But if I
get
it on time, I'll be there.
All right. Well, the seat will be there waiting for you.
All right. Very good, Tony. We'll leave the seat open for you, and we'll order the usual for you. And if you don't show up, we'll just eat it ourselves. That'll be great. Tony, we love you, man. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure. How about Tony? You're getting his optimism reinfused for
he's allowed to have
for
it.
the Dolphins.
I don't.
Did they blow in these two games? They're now 8-point favorites over the Raiders coming up this week. You would think that they beat the Raiders fairly handily, but are they? What do you think?
The Raiders, I think they'll beat. It's the Patriots. The Patriots are the one playing actually decent football. They're not good, but they're not horrendous. I mean, they won last week, so I don't know.
they lose at home to the Patriots, it's just an absolute
maybe that'll
signature on an awful season if that happened. Because that would put them completely out of any
Every
kind
time,
of
yeah,
contention, you would think. Losing one of these next two games. If they don't end up at 5-6 going to Green Bay on Thanksgiving Day,
No, that's what I have to do.
a scathing indictment against what this team has put together so far. All right, good stuff, Lubie. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks to Tony Segreto, Ed Garcia, great guy. He really is. Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Couldn't recommend him any more highly because it's terrific when you go to a place and not only do you know what to expect, but they always hit it right on the money. Whether
Yep.
you're talking about the food or the service or the prices, which are extraordinary.
Yes.
Considering what's going on in the food world these days. Now, that's all going to change.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Day number one, Donald Trump, all prices will be lower.
Definitely.
As he welcomes in the Nazi regime that he's putting together, which...
I love it.
Wow.
It's like what's interesting to me is people are like, you did that? I'm like, are you shocked? Like, what did you think? He said it for the last 3 months.
He surrounded himself with bozos the last time.
Yeah, he's just leaning into it hard. You thought it was going to be better than the first time around. It's going to be worse.
Unhinged. I mean, that was the key word for me during the entire election process. Unhinged. It was too mild of a description for where Donald Trump is coming from.
Yes, that was the problem. Is we didn't talk about it enough. Just how fucking lunatic he was. The people he's putting have zero experience. He's just grabbing TV people. He's grabbing. It's like what? For
in 4 years, you won't have to worry about the price of gas or eggs because you're going to be worried about whether or not you can breathe the air outside.
Pretty much.
That's where we're going to be. Probably bring back coal mining also in very, very heavy fashion. All right, that'll do it for us. We had a lot of fun being with you. Spoelstra making a mistake. That's still mind-boggling, Louie. And we will. You're heading right out of here, right? You're going down to Grandpa's.
Actually, Mayo's like, all right, I'll see you at 9:30. I'm like, Mayo, I'm still on now. I'm like, I can't. I have to
control,
drive.
man.
I don't have a plane. Believe me, if I had a plane,
yeah, you tell him to send a chopper for you for sure. Guy's making a lot of.
Grandpa's Cafe is close to 10:30 as possible, and then at 3:30 we're at Burton's and Plantation. So a lot of lunchbox action today. So
okay, yeah, the Burton's and Plantation is prohibitive for me because I was supposed to go somewhere. I didn't know about that 3:30 post time.
That's fine. Well, that one they're gonna have all kinds
of people. So that's good. Yeah,
and even Grandpa's if you just want to jump on because again,
I'm tapping in to the 10:30 post time.
Yeah, come on for Grandpa's. Mark loves seeing you, and he gets it. You know.
No, it's always good. Yeah, but yeah, I'll be helping people bury their bookie. I hope.
There you go.
Later on today with my friend Trey West from Seattle. All right, we'll see you guys later on. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you as we leave you now. That
the time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.